It's Mary Ann from Ohio. How are you?
Hello, Carrie. Star 6. Hope you did.
Sorry about that. Okay. Are we ready to start?
Yeah, we're waiting on you. Go ahead.
No, if you're waiting on me, then you're behind. Okay. I'm just going to share something real quick, and then we'll get started. Monday, that was yesterday, I got a call, and we're in the next phase, and every time the DOJ gives us something, they're asking for more time. Well, yesterday, the person called, and they asked for an extension of time, and the judge denied it. And their amount is $1,870,000, and the judge said they have until the 21st to answer it, and he thinks that's too much money, but $1 million he would go for. So we're going to have our first check coming, I think.
Carrie, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. I think I missed the intro to this whole thing. So who asked for an extension, first of all, and with the extension on what, and who denied it?
The DOJ asked for an extension of time to answer. And so the judge said, no, it's denied. And then we're asking for $1,870,000, and the judge came back and said that the million is what they deserve, even though there's $1,800,000 involved.
Okay, so sorry, I want to make sure I understand what the 1.8 or the 1,870,000 is for. Is that for things that have been withheld and like donated throughout the life cycle of this person? Okay.
Yes, they went back to 1961 or something like that. So the court ruled that they did not have jurisdiction from 1961 to 2018. This person went into their filing cabinet and found their first paycheck from 1961. They had every paycheck they've ever been paid. And then we went through and added it all up and got the figure.
Okay. And was this on Form 1? Somebody earlier on the call was talking about some Form 1. So they still keep, you and I talked earlier this week or late last week, and they're still denying my appeals when I won't, because I haven't paid the $60, and they continue to deny me. And last you and I talked, you're like, well, just send the $60.
We're still having people that are still getting it, but some people are not. Are not. There's two things we can do. One, you can go to you're from Washington, right?
Yes, correct.
Go to Seattle or wherever, to that court, and try it there, because a federal court is a federal court no matter where you go. I went to Washington, D.C. because I didn't know better. Try it that way. Do the same exact stuff, but go to the federal, go to the local federal court, or try that first.
Okay.
Because what we're trying to do is, because of what they're doing, we're backing them up, and I think they're doing this as a ploy because they're so far behind. But the reason they're so far behind because they do what they always do. They're trained to deny and delay. Deny and delay. Deny and delay. That's what they're trained to do, and that's all they know. And so yesterday, when the person got their letter court order or whatever you want to call it from the judge denying the extension of time, and then saying that they had until the 21st to answer it. If they don't answer it, we're going to do a default. We're going to ask for a default judgment
on the U.S. tax, or on the
Well, on the second phase of it.
Right.
To get
now,
the money back.
So is this a Form 1 that you guys used for this second phase of the petition? Okay, so what was it that you used for this asking for this money? It is
Form 2.
But Form 2 doesn't have any years on it, so that's what I'm confused about, because somebody else said Form 2, but I don't see any years on Form 2.
See, you don't have to worry about the years, because if you get your court order from the tax court, it has the years on it.
Got it. So when you get your thing back, it will show the years.
Well, what years did you ask for on your tax court? What years did you ask for?
Well, that's what I'm saying is I don't know where to put that. I don't know where to put years to ask for. I don't see anything like that on Form 2.
Okay. See, you're not then you didn't fill it out proper.
Okay.
Because it asks you on there, what is your reason for this? You tell them, I never received a notice of deficiency. I never received a notice of determination for years, and you put it down. So you're putting it down, what years you need it for. Because if you need it for years 1837 to 2099, well, then that's what you have to put down. See, because they don't tell you what years, because they don't know what years you are. And then if you're a young fellow, there's a young guy that I'm working with. He didn't start working until 2009. So his starts at 2009. See? Got it. So if you will, you have my number. Call me tomorrow.
I do, yeah. Okay.
And we'll go over. You didn't tell me about that, but I'll go over your form with you.
That's perfect. That I think will help
because then we'll see if you made an error, or if in other words, you're saying to me that I don't see the years, well, they're not on there. You have to put them down.
I didn't put them on there. Got it. Okay, that's probably exactly why I keep
they don't know. See.
Yeah.
Hey,
Got
Carrie,
it. Okay.
Got a question for you.
So what? No, go ahead.
It is a what? You say you had last 10 years you've been filing personal income tax plus for an LLC, and now you've got this judgment saying that there's no jurisdiction on the personal part. Would you file still for the LLC?
Okay. How much money did the LLC make?
It lost money.
Okay. How much tax burden is on it?
None at this point.
Okay. Because it lost money, will it get more money back than it sent in?
No.
Okay, then that's your call. Do whatever you want. But see, you're old school. You're trying to go in there as the all caps name or as something different. I don't do that. See, let me ask you a question. Are you a taxpayer?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. See, are you a non-resident alien?
Not that I know of.
Okay, see, so your LLC, that's a limited liability company or a limited liability corporation. So what the reason you did that is to have a limited liability. That is a contract. You're asking for a benefit. Does that make sense?
Yes, total.
Okay, see, because you're asking for a benefit, you have to pay for that. So you're asking me a question that's kind of out of my wheelhouse. I just have everything in my name. See, and it doesn't make me no difference. because I don't have a tax liability. And the reason I don't have a tax liability because they said I didn't have they didn't have jurisdiction. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to change the way we think. The problem that I'm having is I get calls every day, and every day somebody wants to tell me that they're having trouble with such and such going through or whatever it is. Then I talk to them for a little while, and the problem that they're having is it's themselves. And I don't mean that to be, by any means, I'm not trying to be pointing the finger at anybody, but where the problem comes, you want to tell them, and I always look at, this is the way I look at it. I'm going to have to go in front of a jury, and they're going to ask me questions. So I want you to think about this. You go in front of the jury, and the IRS agent or the IRS attorney says, well, are you a taxpayer? No. Well, you got 12 jurors that think, well, they are. Are you a non-resident alien? Yeah. They don't even know what it is. Then they come out and see. And so what I would say to the fact is, absolutely I'm a taxpayer. See? The problem you're having is tax. Okay, let me ask you this, if you don't mind answering. What is a 1040 form? Tell me what it is, if you don't mind.
It's a form they're requiring you to report your income.
Okay, therein lies my issue. See? They're asking me to put something down that's not defined.
Correct.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so if it's not defined, how can I put it down? Now, my question to you is, do you know what a dubulator is?
Well, that's your income.
See? It's a dubulator. Well, now what is a dubulator? Well, in other words, it's not defined either. So I can't see. So what I'm trying to do is get you to think just a little bit different. Think outside the box if we can. And the reason I say that, so that they're expecting you to say one thing and I come up and say something else. They don't know how to handle that, or they don't know how to deal with that.
Right.
So what we're doing is, if you'll do a 12277 form, if you have a lien and you want it released, we're taking the 12277, we're checking the boxes where it says that they didn't follow, they got the cart before the horse. Anyway, then we send them the motion, and then we send them the court order. That's the deal we're sending to them. Then it comes back, and an agent says, well, you don't qualify because. He tells you why. So then I thought, well, how do we fix that? So I go back and write a letter to that agent. Thank you so much, sweetheart. I love you. See, there's no reason to get you sons of bitches, because that doesn't help. So then I give the agent 7 days, 10 days, whatever you think is fair, 5 days. I need your bar card number because you're practicing law without a license, or you have to release the lien. Now, I'm going to use everything to that I have in my arsenal, but not limited to a lawsuit. Then I put on that paper, my cover letter, consider this a notice to sue if you do not release the lien or give me your bar card. Now they've been noticed. I file a lawsuit against the agent that's on that return, whether it's a factual agent or not. It doesn't matter. I file it in federal district court, tell the court to have jurisdiction, because if you go to their jurisdiction column, it says they have jurisdiction on all federal questions and federal suits. I sue that agent for practicing law without a license. You're not going to believe what happens. I've done 10 this way. 8 of them are released. 2 of them are not yet, but they haven't been out long enough. So I think that's a pretty good track record.
Yep.
So, because, see, they're not used to that argument. They don't know what to do with it, because if they come to court, you sue them and they don't show up, then you can tell the judge that you need a judgment against that agent for practicing law without a license. See? And then in there, you put it in there that what they're doing is, I have a court order. They're violating the court order, and they're practicing law, saying that's the court order, because they're going to tell you that it doesn't say that. Basically, what they're saying is it doesn't say that. And the funny part about that is mine says that. See? And most people say that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to attack without them realizing what's happening. Because I'll be real honest with you, the IRS agents I've dealt with, their bulbs are real dim. Okay. And, I need a flashlight to see if it's even on sometimes. But what we're doing is we're not attacking the agent for collecting taxes, because that's what their job is. But they can't collect it improper. So what we're doing is we're going after them in an arena that we can win. Now, my question is, do you know how to eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
See, this is one bite at a time. What we're doing is we're going to the tax court. Then we're going to the 12277 form. Then and what we're doing is we're taking one bite at a time. So one of two things are going to happen. They're going to stop doing what they're doing, or they're going to collapse. And the reason they're going to collapse because their whole thing is built on fraud. They're tethered to fraud. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to getting away from the tether, because what's happening is I just don't know what they're going to do, because they're not going to show up, because they think they're isolated and they're doing what they're supposed to do. See, we're in a bankruptcy court right now, and we're hammering the IRS, and the trustee says, well, the IRS is exempt. You have to pay them. Well, the problem is we listed them as a debtor. They didn't show up. If they didn't show up, then they must not be a debtor. So we're asking the judge, we're pushing the judge hard, saying you have to dismiss it. You have to write the debt off, because that's what you do. When you file a bankruptcy, if you file a bankruptcy and you owe a credit card $1 million, you can guarantee them the credit card's going to be there, because he's going to liquidate an asset and get something. The IRS doesn't show up. So if they don't show up, then I must not have owed them. Maybe I made a mistake. See? So what we're having to do is that's how we're doing this. They're not used to seeing that. They're used to of not wanting them there. We want them there, because when we show up, they don't show up, or when they show up, they're arguing something stupid. See? Now, what we're also doing is, if you'll read Title 26, if you can use Title 26 as much as you can, that's good. We're using Title 26, Section 7608. And in that, it states that enforcement only has jurisdiction in alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So if you go to a CDP hearing, I just take a half a dozen of those with you and ask how many E agents are in here. They raise their hand, you hand that to them, say you need to leave. When the agent says what, then you hand them your court order and say, now what are we going to do? So we're only there a couple of minutes, and we're all done. Now, I don't know if you knew this or not, but in Title 26, I'm going to read this little piece here, but in Title 26, under Section 1271 through 1275, here's what it states. I'm going to read this. Title 26 of the U.S. Code is the Internal Revenue Sections 1271 through 1275 deal with assessing a tax on debt instruments. So, under Section 1275 defines debt instruments as, hold on here, where is it? Oh, debt instruments means bonds, debentures, note, or certificate of evidence of indebtedness. So, it's saying you cannot pay tax on debt instruments, and they define the debt instrument as a note. Now, if you get paid, that's a Federal Reserve note. So even if you want to do a 1040, that's fine. I would send this in with them. If you want to get this, I can send this over to Ed. I can scan it in and email it to him so that you can have a copy of it. But what's happening is, instead of arguing the argument that we've been arguing, the IRS does not have jurisdiction over debt instruments. A debt instrument is a note. See, your paycheck comes to you in a Federal Reserve note.
Our blog is texasrepublic.wordpress.com. Our website is thetexasrepublic.com. Our email address is oneyellowroseenterprises@gmail.com. Our YouTube profile is, this is the link, because YouTube doesn't allow us to have a customized URL until we have over a certain number of subscribers. And follow us on Twitter at Texas Republic for You and at We Are Texians.
And then under Title 18, Section 8, it defines all debt instruments. See? So we just need to stay as close to the titles as we can. Now, I know I touched on this here a few weeks ago. The reason we have to file a 1040 form is because Lincoln sold 1040 bonds to England. You heard it all your life that the 1040 is a contract. The 1040 is not a contract because two parties don't sign it. If you sign it and your wife signs it, that's one party. So it's not a contract. So what is it? Well, it's a bond. It's a 1040 bond. They sold them to England. By you signing that 1040, you're saying, I want to pay my money to the bond. The other thing that I thought interesting was Abraham Lincoln was shot on the 14th of April and died on April 15th. Now, I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but it seems to me if he sold 1040 bonds and we're doing a 1040 form, then a form's definition is a model or a skeleton to be used in a court of law. So we're filling out a 1040 form. He sold 1040 bonds, and he died on April 15th. To me, I don't believe in coincidences, but there's three coincidences that may or may not be the reason. Then in Title 26, under Section 1275, it says debt instruments cannot be taxed. So they're going against their own Title 26. Does anybody have a question before we move on?
And that's for individual or LLCs, or is it LLC?
Okay, here's my question to you. I want you to answer this. Is a Federal Reserve note a debt instrument?
Yes.
For who?
Anyone who uses it.
See, that's the definition of it. So you're asking me a question, is it for LLCs or is it for an individual? My answer would be yes. It's also for a corporation, and it's also for a wife, a husband, a son, a daughter, a church, not a church. See, in other words, a debt instrument is defined as a note. Do you use notes? So the question is, if you go to Title 18, Section 8, it's going to define, there's 12, I think. There's 12 defined debt instruments. And 26 just happened to pick the note. That's all they picked. So to me, anything that you're filling out your taxes with. Now, let me ask you a question, the guy that was talking to me. Does a federal employee have to fill out a 1040 form?
No.
Why? I've heard that all my life that they did. Why do you say no?
You talked about it on the last call, but I don't remember.
Okay, then why wouldn't you say yes?
Because no one's required to fill one out.
See, and the reason for it is
it's voluntary.
Well, it is, but income is not defined. So if income is not defined, who is it not defined for? LLCs, corporations. See, it's defined. It's not defined for anybody. Just like you can't pay taxes on notes. Well, see, the reason I've been told all my life that they do, because under 6331A it says something to the effect that political people and government jobs have to pay taxes. Well, I have to pay them too. But that's not what the 1040 is for. The 1040 is for income taxes. It's an income tax return, which to me is it's like an oxymoron, because I have a 2358C letter that I squeezed them hard to get, and in there it starts off, "Dear taxpayer, we agree with you. You are not legally required to file a tax return." Well, if I'm not legally required to file a tax return, then why did they ask me to file one? So if I'm not legally required, then it must be illegal. See the problem? So I want you to think about this. Go ahead. You was going to ask something. Go right ahead and ask it.
No. I was waiting for you to tell me what I was going to think about.
Okay, if you want to see that letter, the 2358C, ask Ed and he'll send it to you. But the question that I have that the IRS, see, they can't answer certain questions, so I never tell them anything. I ask them. We have a couple of people in states that have now finally got the Attorney General involved, and the reason we got the Attorney General involved because we're feared for our life. See, the tax assessor is in the state. These are states that have federal income or state income taxes. See, one of them says you owe $40,000 in income taxes. Well, now the problem is, see, income is not defined. So what we're doing is, how do you know I owe that? I'm ready to pay it, but how do I know you owe it? They won't tell us. So if they did a tax, what do they call them? It's a tax assessor tax return. How does the tax assessor know what to put on income if he can't tell me what income is? So what we're doing is we're creating a real stink form, because what we're doing is we're going in and we're asking the tax assessor, what species do you expect to be paid in? Now, if you're a man and you're married to a woman, the species is a female. See, so the species means what kind of whatever. See, in other words, if you're married to a dog, the species would be a dog. If you're married to a goat, the species would be a goat. So if you owe money for taxes, what species are they using to figure it? That's the problem they're having. They won't tell us. So what we're doing is we're taking the county to the state, and if we're suing the county in the state on the grounds that I can't fill my tax return out because they won't tell me what species goes on line so-and-so. Well, in this particular case, it said you use your federal tax return. Then we showed them where they didn't have jurisdiction, and they said, well, that's not what we want. Then tell us what you want. Then they knew they were in trouble. So now what they're doing is they don't even want us to come down and talk to them anymore. They won't let us come and even talk to them, and the reason they won't let us talk to them, because I'm not saying we won't pay. In fact, we're ready to pay. You tell us what species you'll take, and we'll have it to you within 24 hours. Whether it's $1 or 100 million, we don't care. All you have to do is tell us what species. Because as soon as they tell you what species they want, they violated federal law. Now they got a problem. So we're not using the old way of arguing. See, we're using all these weird ways that they don't have a question. They don't have an answer for. So under Title 26, it says you can't use Federal Reserve notes to fill out a tax return. Well, if you can't use a Federal Reserve note because it says so in their own statute, then what are we using? Does that make any sense at all?
Total sense.
See, so
Crystal clear.
What's that?
Crystal clear.
Right.
It's not totally clear for me about this whole species thing. I think I lost you in this.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, what species are you?
I always hate these questions because I always get them wrong, but I'm going to say human being.
That's exactly right. You're a species of a human being. That is correct. So, if you drive a car, what species would it be? Well, it could be a Ford. So the question is, what species will the state accept as payment? See, if you go to Title 31, and what's funny about Title 31 is that's the money and finance. That's the Treasury statute. Title 26 is the Internal Revenue statute. Title 18 is crimes and criminal procedures. So if I violate Title 18, that's a felony. So my question is, if you look up species in Black's Law Dictionary, it'll tell you what it is. That's why
Title 31, it's the what? Title 31 is the what?
Well, it's money and finance.
Oh, money and finance, yeah. Okay.
Which is the Treasury. So the Treasury is telling you, the state or a political subdivision of a state cannot use federal obligations to pay a tax. So the question is your county a part of the state or a political subdivision of the state? Well, I don't know. That's why I asked them. So when they say, well, yeah, now they can't use the specie Federal Reserve notes. So I go to Title 18, Section 8, which defines federal obligations. And it says Federal Reserve notes, bank notes, checks, and it goes through a whole bunch of them. Well, now they got a problem because even Title 26 states you can't use notes. I'm sorry, debt notes are not debt notes. Let me read it again. You cannot use debt instruments.
Debt instruments, yeah.
And debt instruments cannot be taxed. So if debt instruments can't be taxed, we need to know what a debt instrument is. See what I'm saying? So I want you to think about this for a minute. I'm going to be a little bit ugly here. All right. Okay. I'm not going to say that. I was going to use an example, but that would it may be too much. Okay. If you have hepatitis C, why would you take medicine that fixes chronic headaches? See? So what do you have? The species you have is hepatitis C. That's the species. So you need something that would work with it. See? So the word species, by knowing what these words mean, that's how we do it. So what I'm doing is, and I know you know this, but I have a form that I made up. The word form is model or skeleton to be used in a court of law. So I have a form. What I do is I take that form and I send it to anything to do with the state. What species will this state take for my property tax or for my income tax? So I plan it all out, and it looks like a 1040 form. And see, now they got a problem because they won't answer it. Then if they don't answer it, I tell them what they agree to. Here's what you agree to. You agree that you don't know, and you're bringing fraud upon me. See, everything they do is tethered to fraud. So I try my best to ask questions. I never tell them anything, but I ask and I ask and I ask. Well, that aggravates them because they don't want to talk to me. What I'm doing now is I'm bringing the state's attorney general in, telling the state's attorney general that I'm trying to do this. And see, I always ask them, I am not an attorney. I cannot make a legal determination. Let me ask you this question, the lady from Washington. Here's my question. If you don't do something like pay your property tax or pay your state income taxes, will a court get involved?
Typically, yes.
Okay, so it has to be a legal reason they do that. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. So on my form, I'm going to say, because if I don't pay this proper, I can pay it, but if I don't pay it proper, the court's going to get involved and I'm going to be in trouble. I'm going to have a legal problem. Therefore, I have to have a qualified person telling me what it is, what species you will accept. See, now I got my species out, and the reason I do it is so that I can get the answer I need. Now, if you get a flat tire, and do you take your car to a body shop to have the tire changed, or would you take it to a tire store?
Tire store.
See?
Yeah.
Well, why would you do that? Why don't you take it to the emergency room? I got a flat and it's an emergency, so why don't you push it to the emergency room and ask the doctor, come on here and change my tire. This is an emergency, and you're in an emergency room. See, that doesn't make sense. So you want to take it to the proper place, so you need to know where would you take it. A tire store. Perfect. See? That's what we're trying to ask these people. Instead of getting all your instead of trying to tell them all about what it is, I don't do that. I just ask them. If I owe, I want to pay. I always tell them that. If I owe, I want to pay. No problem. Not only will I pay, you tell me what it is, and I'll have it to you in certified funds. No problem. Now they got a problem, because if they tell me U.S. currency, well, U.S. currency is Federal Reserve notes, because I had them tell me that the other day. It's U.S. currency. I went to the bank, cashed a check for 100 U.S. currencies, and they gave me a Federal Reserve note. Well, they can't be taxed, or they can't be talking about that. Something I misunderstood. So then, now I have to have a hearing to do that. Now, if you can't pay, if the Title 26 cannot tax Federal Reserve notes, see, instead of saying, well, let's try to get them off guard, just ask them, will you accept Federal Reserve notes? As soon as they say yes, then you can hand them this piece of paper here that says, Title 26, Section 1271 through 1275 deal with assessing a tax on debt instruments. They can't tax a debt instrument. And the reason they can't, if you get a $100,000 tax lien, and they can tax debt is what they're taxing, then I'm going to take my house payment and pay them. I'll take my car payment and pay my house with it. Then I'll pay my electric bill with my Visa bill. I'll take my Visa bill and pay it with my doctor bill. I'll take my doctor bill and pay it with my food bill. See, that's what they're telling you. By them taxing Federal Reserve notes, you're paying a debt with a debt. That's why they can't do it. Does that make sense?
Yes, paying a debt with a debt, I totally get that, because that's exactly what it is. So, yes, I get that.
That's
part.
correct.
Yep.
And see, did you know that in Title 26, it told you couldn't use Federal Reserve notes on your 1040 form? Did you know that? Okay, so it says it. Okay, I'm going to have that to Ed tomorrow. I'll try to get it to him even yet tonight. But the problem is, if you don't know that, see, well, what do you see? We're squeezing the IRS really, really hard everywhere we can. See, as soon as they say, well, what do you think it is? Boy, they really screwed up on that one.
Quick question.
Go ahead.
Quick question. You just mentioned a code that was taxing a debt instrument. What was that one again?
The Title 26. Do you know what Title 26 is? That's the income tax code. That's IRS code.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the Internal Revenue Code. So it's Title 26, Section 1271 through 1275. It's a pretty short section. It's just about 3 or 4 pages. The main part of it is 1275. Small a, 1, big A. Except as provided in paragraph B, the term debt instrument means bond, I can't pronounce it, or debenture, note, or certificate of other evidence of indebtedness. So what in the world, why would they put note down there? So you can't tax notes. Notes are untaxable by the Title 26. So what is a note?
It's a debt instrument.
That's correct, but give me an example of it.
Well, one of them is a Federal Reserve note. The other one's
exactly
I promised to pay note. Another one's
See,
IOU note, whatever. Yeah.
See, those are all non-taxable issues. So what's happening is, I've heard this quite a bit this week. So does a non-resident alien have to pay taxes on income? I don't know. All I can tell you is I don't think it has anything to do with the non-resident alien. What it has to do with the note cannot be paid tax on. Why? Okay, then why is that? Because the law says it can. Then they're going to say, well, Rule 60 says we can do this. Not a problem. Go look up the Rule 60. I'll bet you Rule 60 or whatever rule they're using doesn't say Federal Reserve notes can be taxed. It doesn't say that. See, the rules, what they're for is it's so when you walk in there, you can't stand with one leg in the air. You can't put your hand on top of your head. You can't wear a hat. You can't have your pants down to your ankles. That kind of stuff. So what the rules are for, it's the federal rules of civil procedure. It's the procedure. See? So if I don't pay a tax, they're going to come after me for willful failure to file. What procedure is that? That's not a procedure. I'm sorry. What law or what rule is that? It's not a rule. It's a statute. Now the problem is willful failure to file is in 7212 or 7203. It doesn't matter. It's above 7,000. So above 7,000 automatically falls under Title 27. See? So the question is, why is alcohol taxable? If you make your living on alcohol, why do you pay tax on it? Why do you have to pay tax on it?
I do not know.
Because it's regulated. Title 27 says alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, you have to have tax on it. They have an ability to tax it. Why? Because you're asking for the privilege to sell alcohol. See, I want to sell beer in my 7-Eleven, but I don't want to pay tax on it. You can't do that. It has nothing to do with the Federal Reserve note. It has to do with the alcohol. It's taxable. That's why you can't make moonshine. You can make moonshine and drink it at home, but you can't take moonshine and sell it on the corner unless the government gets a piece of the action. That's how they have it written. So, willful failure to file a tax return is in 72 something. That means it's above 7,000. So 0000 to 6999. That's Title 26. You're never going to get indicted under Title 26 because there's no enforcement. You're only going to get indicted on enforcement issues. So from 7,000 and above is all Title 27. That's all enforcement. But under 7608, it states enforcement agents under the Secretary's guidance gets its jurisdiction from alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. So 7213 or 7203, it doesn't matter. That's in Title 27. So willful failure to file is not a jailable offense unless you're selling alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Does that make sense?
Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Don't forget to like this video. And don't forget to click the bell next to the subscribe button so you're notified when there's a new upload. Here's the front page of the channel. The bottom arrow is pointing at the subscribe button that's normally red until you click on it, and this one turns white after you subscribe. And the right one is the arrow. The top arrow is pointing to the bell. Now, the bell doesn't show up until after you click the subscribe button, and then the bell will show up. And that way you can be notified of new uploads.
Yes.
So rather than arguing this, well, I don't have to file. See, we're getting you for willful failure to file. I don't have to file because I'm not one that has to file. Well, you just made a legal determination. Go to prison for that. What I asked them was, 76. I'm sorry, willful failure to file. You have an E agent in here. Here's 7608. It says right here he has no jurisdiction over me. So apparently willful failure to file is under alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Let him say no. It's not. No problem. I would appeal that because I know it is. See? So once you appeal it, you're going to appeal it on the fact that they're telling me I have to pay income taxes on painting a house. When, in reality, they're telling me I didn't fill out a tax return for alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. And that would be true. I don't because I don't sell. But I'm not going to give them the reason I don't. In other words, I'm not going to argue, well, I don't have to because I'm not one that has to because I'm not in a taxable event. Well, I don't know if I'm in a taxable event or not. I just know I'm not under alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Let them tell me it, see? Just like when you go to court. If you go to court and you say to the judge, does this court have jurisdiction? Yeah, we have it. Prove it. We don't have to. No problem. I tell them I object. Then I just act the fool. I admit that I was the Boston Strangler from 1830. I shot President, what is his name, Lincoln in 1864. I was the guy that slapped the Pope's mother back in 1706. Because it doesn't matter. Why? If he doesn't prove he has it, then everything he does is irrelevant. So instead of saying, well, I don't have to file because I don't have a taxable event. See, I don't tell them that. I let them tell me that I do have one. That way I can build a defense, or I can build an argument that I can win. Does that make sense?
Yes.
See, if you don't mind me asking you, how tall are you? Because I've never met you. How tall are you?
5'5".
Okay, see what you just did? 5'5" is tall. What's 6'6" then?
Much taller.
Okay, so in other words, you're either tall or much taller.
Yep.
Then what's 6'7"?
A little
taller,
taller,
much taller. See?
Yeah.
See. In other words, how tall is tall? That's what I would ask. Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, how tall are you? Man, I'm so glad you asked me that. It just excites me to death. I would say something like, I'm 166 centimeters. Then they would say, well, that ain't what we asked you. No, that's exactly what you asked me. Or I would say, I'm 371 microcentimeters. Something they don't. That's not what they ask. See, let them tell me what they're asking, so that I can answer the question in an intelligent manner. See, but you already told me. See, so you already knew what I wanted. See, that's where
right.
That's what I don't do. I just don't do that. That way. See, what happens when they ask you a question and you answer it? You're answering the question the way you think they want it. Me, I answer it the way they would. I heard this all my life. An attorney will never ask a question that he doesn't know the answer to. So when I get there, if it's the right attorney, he won't ask me anything because he has no idea what's going to come out of my mouth. See?
Mm-hmm.
Does anybody have any questions about anything? Because we're going to try to get the forms going again here. If you want anything, like if you want to see this Federal Reserve notes are not taxable, out of Title 26, I'll scan it in and email it to Ed. Just contact Ed, and he'll be glad to send it to you. If you want to see the glossary page that I have that I used, I think Ed has that. Just let us know. We'll get that to you. Is there anything else you have a question about? Does anybody have a question that they would like to ask that they're going through right now so we can try our best to help you with it?
I have a question.
So what? I don't care.
I would like to. I'd like to know if I can listen to this call again. Do you have a recall for later?
Yes, but you got to pay $325 for it. No,
oh, wow.
No. Who sent you this email that you know it was on here?
Oh, I got it from Glenn.
Okay, then ask him where the email is, because on the email at the bottom it tells you how to get the replay.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't. Because I've done a couple. Okay. Maybe it is on here.
Yeah. You go down. You put in.
I've got eye issues, and I have really poor sight, so I'm dealing with that. Anyway,
well,
that was just an excuse. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but it takes me an hour to go through it.
That's okay. I read. I have to read in Braille sometimes, so don't feel bad. It's all good.
Yeah. But that's all I want to do right now. Thank you.
Oh no.
One thing.
Go ahead.
One thing he needs to remember is that he'll only get this call until the next one. So,
okay. Yeah, I'll have to listen to us right after.
That's no problem.
You've got a month because he has to call every month.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Now, does anybody understand what we're doing here? We're not arguing anything but jurisdiction. Now, can anybody on here tell me what jurisdiction means? Okay, by your silence, I assume you know what it means. Jurisdiction
no, I don't.
Jurisdiction means you have trees in your backyard.
No, it means authority.
That's exactly right. It means authority.
The power over another person, a man.
No. It has nothing to do with that. It means authority. They don't have authority maybe over that man. But if they don't have jurisdiction, that means they don't have authority. So think about this for a minute. If they don't have authority and they touch something, you get that returned. If you lost a car, you lost a house, you lost a savings account, you lost a checking account, if you have a notice of lien or a notice of levy that's filed in the county, we have a process that we're working on that we can work on trying to get that back for you. I told you at the opening that a lady called today, and they don't know what to do with us anymore because they're getting hit with this pretty hard. But not only that, what's happening is we're making them answer the question. If they didn't have jurisdiction and they admitted it, then why don't I get my money back? And they're starting to agree to it. We had one guy that actually got his judgment. When he went to get paid, they said, the judge said, we're gonna reverse that. We're not gonna pay it. So we're still working things out. But yes, he was gonna ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to try to answer that last question about jurisdiction. You have personam jurisdiction and you have subject matter jurisdiction.
Okay, personam and subject matter.
Personam and subject matter.
Well, it's called in rem.
In rem.
Now that
in rem is the statutory. That's like at sea. That's kind of a trick word for at sea.
That's okay. That's okay. Now that you said that, which one's the most important to have in order for them to take your money?
Well, they want you to be at sea. They want it in them.
No.
Subject matter.
No.
It doesn't matter. They have to have both.
There you go. They have to have two. Well, if they got three, you got to have three. If you got 10, they got to have 10. See? In other words, which eye is your best eye? Your left eye or your right eye? Because we're going to cut one of them out.
Well, I got to mess up. My left eye's very good, but right with a shit. Pardon my French.
I don't worry about that, sir. I don't speak French. What I'm trying to tell you is they have to have both. So
Yeah.
which one can they never get? Under any circumstance.
I don't see how they could ever get subject matter jurisdiction.
Oh, yeah, they can have subject matter. Sure, they could get subject matter. They can never have personal jurisdiction.
I mean, personam would be your person.
They can't get that one, and the reason they can't because the Bill of Rights says we have unalienable rights. As soon as they try to lien them, they can't get it. See?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the jurisdiction, how would you give the court jurisdiction? You ask them, they say they have it. How would you give that court jurisdiction?
Well, typically, I think that if you're being asked a question, you've already made the mistake, like you're saying. If you're asking a question, you're in control. You might answer the wrong question. You could answer one of their legal ease questions and one of the titles from there. Therefore, you're subject. That might give them jurisdiction because you just admitted that you've done something wrong. I mean, like you understand the charges against you, and if I said, well, I've done screwed myself.
No, you haven't. Now, here's my question. You want to get a divorce from your wife. So your wife goes to the federal district court and gets a divorce. The judge gives her your house, your lake house, both your cars, the children, the animals, and you have to pay her $1,000 a month. Tell me what she just got.
She just stole everything I got, I guess.
She got nothing.
What did she do?
Nothing.
She didn't do anything, huh?
No, she got nothing. Why did she get nothing? Federal district court has no jurisdiction in a divorce. So you answer the question, are you giving me jurisdiction? And you say, absolutely. They ask her, are you giving me jurisdiction? Absolutely. Now what does she get? Nothing.
Yes.
Why? The court doesn't have jurisdiction. You can't give it to them. You got to understand that. If the court doesn't have it, I don't care what you say, what question you answer, they can't have it.
Yeah, I've heard that before, that if they don't have it, they never had it.
That's exactly right. So let me ask you a question, all right? You never met George Washington, did you?
No.
Then how are you going to meet him? If you've never met him and he's dead, how are you going to meet him? Well, I'm going to call him. I'm just going to call him on the phone. You can't. Why? He ain't there. So if they don't have it, they can never get it.
Yeah.
Even if you want to give it to them, they can't have it.
Why can just trick you out of it?
Well, that's fine. That doesn't matter if they trick you out of it. So if I trick you out of it,
that I understand.
That's fine. See? So what I always do is I ask them, the first thing I ask is, do you have jurisdiction? Without fail, they say yes. My next answer is, wow, I believe you. I really do. Show me. We don't have to. I object. Then I sit down. Throw the book at me. I could care less, because when I appeal, I'm appealing on the fact that I didn't pay taxes. I'm going to appeal on the fact that I didn't speed. I'm going to appeal on the fact that I challenged jurisdiction. They didn't prove it. Therefore, they don't have it. See? Because the doctrine of silence says if you're asked a question and you refuse to answer it, and you're bound, you have a duty to answer, then you're dealing in dirty dealings or fraud. So if I ask the judge, do you have jurisdiction? He says yes. I say, show it to me. He says no. Then he's dealing in fraud. So I'm not going to argue with him, because he can have the bailiff lock me up. The bailiff come over and he tase me or something. I'm not going to argue. I'm going to say, thank you very much. I'm going to sit down. When he's all done, I'm going to say, well, okay, now how do you plead? Man, I plead guilty to the whole thing. Everything you said, I'm guilty of all of it. Then when I file my appeal, I'm appealing on the fact they didn't have jurisdiction. And guess what? 98% of the time that I file an appeal, they overturn it. So anything they talk about, they're going to overturn. Now they can't bring it back up. So I'm going to say, well, what about, you said I didn't file taxes in 1998. What about 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003? I'm at as many years as I can. Why? Because when I appeal it and overturn it, none of that they can't come back anymore. See?
Wow, now that's a good trick.
Well, the problem is, think about this. I don't know how many there are. I'm throwing a number at you. There's 10,000 courts in America. How many of those 10,000 courts, in percentage, has limited jurisdiction?
100.
100%.
Well, most of them because they're all in federal courts.
All of them. It doesn't matter. That's not what I asked you. See, you gave me too much TMI, too much information. Here's my question. If there's 10,000 courts, how many of those courts have limited jurisdiction? 100%. So it's limited. I can't give them what they don't have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the way it is. I didn't make that up. That's the law. Well, Rule 48 says, no problem. I object. I'm going to appeal because on my ticket or on my indictment or on my whatever, it says I broke the law. Statute 267421, whatever. That's not a rule. So I'm in front of the court because I allegedly broke a law. Now they're going to bring in rules. See, I've asked this many a times. Well, I object to that. What do you mean? Well, he just said I was here for Texas Rules of Civil Procedure. He said, well, you are. Well, on the building outside it says Tarrant County Court of Law. Well, it is a court of law. Huh. So in other words, you're telling me the law and the rules are the same. Is that what you just said? Now he's in trouble. No, that's not what I said. Well, then I objected the rules. The law is what got me here. The law is what's going to get me out. So I don't even argue. I don't argue anything. I argue one thing. If they have jurisdiction, I'm in trouble. But they can't get jurisdiction because I have the Bill of Rights. See?
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's all done by what do words mean? Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
So what I would do, words mean things. They're going to hang you on your words.
Yeah, words have meaning. That's what Scalia said.
Well, maybe so.
Yeah.
But what I try to do is, let me ask you a question. If I can write a brief and have 3 pages, or I'm sorry, 3 words on that page, and that's it, how many words should I put on the page?
3 words.
3. Why would I put 4? Because the 4th one would just get me in trouble. See? Can I ask you a question right now? Do you mind if I ask you a question?
No, go ahead.
All right. If you walk into your house and you see your wife cheating on you, would you recognize it?
Well, I certainly would hope so.
Okay, then fine. Tell me what it is. You said you would, so tell me what cheating is.
What is cheating?
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, she may be cheating.
I don't care what your opinion is. Here's what you said.
My belief, yeah.
I would recognize.
It's my belief she might be cheating. So I don't. Well, I guess you're looking for a positive definition. Well, that's going to have to be framed by the one that's telling the story. My belief might be different from somebody else's.
See the problem? You just gave them your case. See, you just gave them the case. In other words, they're going to say something, and you're going to argue that with them. So let me ask you another question. Do you know what a cherry picker is?
Oh, there's a lot of definitions of what a cherry picker is.
There you go. As soon as you say yes and tell me what it is, guess what it's not. I'm going to go a different direction. See, wait a minute. I don't do that.
It's all Greek to me. I don't understand. I must be an idiot.
There you go. I am an idiot. No question about it.
I don't have a clue.
I am an idiot. See, what happens, see? You see? What I'm trying to tell you is what I try to do is I'm trying to give you a different way to think about this. I want you to think about this. do you know what semantics is? Do you ever use semantics?
Yeah.
Okay, then what is semantics? Tell me what it is.
Well, semantics is a vibration. Semantics
No,
is a vibration material. Oh, I'm telling you what I think it is. I don't have a clue.
See? But yet you said you use it. Semantics in the legal dictionary is knowing the truth in words and phrases. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
So I use semantics all the time. Why? Because I want to know the truth of words and phrases.
Yeah.
See, what I'm telling you is because there's a lot of words that have meanings in regular talk and in legalese.
Right.
That's why no matter what you ask me, I don't care what it is, you're going to define what you ask me, or I'm going to give you a glossary page of the words that I need in this case.
Yeah.
See? Now, you may not use them, then I don't know what you're talking about. See
yeah,
that?
It depends on what your definition of is.
Now you understand why he said that. That's exactly right. See?
Yeah.
The other thing this week that I've had a lot of issues with is people will call me on the phone and they'll say, well, I went and talked to them, and they said that I didn't do whatever it is. Now, the problem I'm having with that is, what the heck is they? Who is they? Where is they? When is they? See? In other words, don't ever do that. Be precise. The Internal Revenue Service said, they don't have jurisdiction because the Internal Revenue Service commissioner stated that was never issued a notice of deficiency or a notice of determination, which is required and mandatory according to. See, now they can't get around it. When you write them a letter, don't say, I'm clean because they said that they didn't do so-and-so under the certain date. See, I'm confused at what I just said. What you need to do when you write your letter, tell them, the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service, see docket so-and-so, enclosed for your convenience. See, now they know what you're talking, and be real precise with it. And what's happening is, because we're precise with it, like I said, we've done 10 to have the liens released. And we've got 8 released. We got 2 that haven't been out long enough. We also this week had a heavy amount of Social Security that has been let go. And the reason we did it, because, see, we have a docket. We send it to the Social Security Department. The Social Security Administration says, we have to do what the IRS says. I believe you. What did they say? Send me in writing what they said, or I'll see you in court. They can't. What are they going to do, pay you back? So if they don't answer me, I take them to federal court. As soon as they show up, guess what? They're not going to go to court with me because the IRS will not come in. If they're not going to come in, they're going to stand there butt naked. All I do is I got this court order, and he's saying he ain't going to release my funds because he's waiting on this whatever. Now, let me ask you one more quick question. Do you know what color Mickey Mouse is? Can you tell me that if he doesn't have any clothes on?
No.
Why is that? Why can't you tell me?
Because I must be an idiot.
No. See, Mickey Mouse doesn't exist. And that's what the IRS is using. Well, we said to take his money. Number one, money doesn't exist. Number two, the IRS agent has no authority. Why? Because I got to see everything they do. They got us convinced they have the ability to do it.
Okay,
so
but you're referring to the constitutional money.
Nope.
We don't have any constitutional money.
Nope.
We only have this fiat currency.
Okay, you didn't say fiat money. It's fiat currency. You look up fiat money in Black's Law. It says it's not money. Now, I'm talking about what Congress calls money. Do you know what Congress calls money? I'm going to ask you a question. This is not about the Constitution, but what is money? According to Congress and according to the Federal Reserve, what is money?
It's an exchange for trade.
No. It's checkable liabilities of a bank. Look up Modern Money Mechanics, page 3. It says checkable liabilities of a bank is money. Now, here's the problem. If I write a check to the bank and they give me a $100 bill, it's no longer theirs. It's mine. That ceases to be money as soon as they hand it to me. There is no money. The reason there's no money because of the way it's defined. See? Or you can say gold and silver coins. But see, that's constitutional money. See? What does the Federal Reserve say money is? Checkable liabilities of a bank. So if I cash a check at the bank and they hand me a Federal Reserve note, even if that was a checkable liability, as soon as they hand it to me, it ceases to be money. Why? Because it's no longer the bank's. See? That's what it says.
Well, that's what makes it confusing. That's the whole idea is to keep you confused so you don't know what the hell you're doing,
Right.
They're constantly moving things and changing it. Once you figure a little bit out, they move and change it.
That's okay. But I just have a weird way of looking at that thing. That's the reason why in Title 26, did you know in Title 26 it tells you can't pay taxes on Federal Reserve notes. Did you know it was in Title 26?
Yeah, I have read that before. I know about 7608, where it talks about you can't hold Congress just because they created that title. It's the title construction. Why usually it's supposed to be in the beginning of the title, and here they got it at 7806. Why do you put the title construction hidden that deep? Obviously to keep it from being found, but it says not to infer, imply, or more or less. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically you can't hold Congress responsible because they wrote that title.
Okay, but that's fine. Now let me ask you a question, and you'll see how I think. This is the way I think. Do you know what a cigar is?
Do I know what a cigar is?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know what a cigar is. Yeah.
Then tell me what it is. You said you knew it, so tell me what it is.
I don't have a defined definition, but it's rolled tobacco that's rolled up instead of chopped. It's rolled up in its own liquid, rolled up and cut and smoked.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. That's not a true statement. Wait a second. That's not a true statement. A cigar is a sex toy. Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. See, you should have asked me. If you'd have said to me, I have no idea, what is it? I would have told you. You're saying it's something rolled up and smoked. Absolutely not. Bill Clinton did not smoke it when he put it in her. He put it in her and used it as a sex toy. See how perverted I am? That's what they're doing to us. They ask you a question. You say yes. Then you define it. That's what they're talking about.
My wife thinks I'm listening to a porn show. She's laughing her butt off.
Well, I understand that. But see, now let me ask you this. Have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog?
I don't want to answer that, Dad. Well, I guess I'm stuck anywhere I go there.
No. Okay, ask me the same question.
Why would I do something like that?
No, ask me. Just ask
Kelly,
me.
have you stopped poisoning your neighbor's dog?
Which neighbor?
Which neighbor? Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
The neighbor on your right.
Oh, man, you're not going to believe this, but that neighbor doesn't have a dog.
Yeah.
No, you see the problem is I never see you're over there telling me, yeah, I know what a cigar is. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
3 streets over is cigar. It's a street in my neighborhood. Oh, it's a boat. They make cigar boats. See, you did not know enough.
You're defining it, so I don't know how you're defining it, I guess.
That's okay.
Pretty much what you're saying.
But that's what the
you got to go to the title where the word is being used before you apply. I try to avoid going to the titles for anything, not referring to them. But if you want to understand it, you got to go to the title that's being applied against you to see what the word is being defined at there. And if it's not there, then you go to the Black's Law Dictionary. And if it's not there, then you might go to a collegiate dictionary.
But but the IRS is telling you you have to pay income tax. Yet income, they don't define it.
Yeah. Well, income, from what I understand, income, the best definition that I can find of income, the way they define it, is income is responsible for the tax. Income is responsible for paying the tax.
Okay, maybe so, but I can all right, Title 31, Section 321, little d2 defines income in black and white. So, income is defined. The IRS doesn't define it. See? So, that's why I have to ask them on everything. See, I ask them on every single thing if I don't understand it. And even if I do understand it, I got to make sure I understand it. See? Because if I don't know what it is and I answer it, just like you answered, you knew what a cigar was, but you didn't. See? It's a boat. Well, it's a street name. Well, it's a sex toy. There's 3 right there, and it's something you smoke. There's 4 definitions. Which one am I talking about? I don't know. Put it on your 1040 and we'll find out. See? See? It makes perfect sense.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Wow.
See? So, you know, what they tell me, what the IRS tells me is I'm a pervert. And I said, well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. Thank you. Because a pervert, in my opinion, is somebody who's asking questions. See? I don't know. See, but the whole problem is we want to assume we know what they're talking about. I don't assume anything. I refuse to assume it because do you know how to spell assume?
Oh yeah, make an ass out of you and me.
Then why would you assume it? You can make an ass out of you, but you ain't making one out of me.
Oh no, I don't think I would do that in a court. No, I wouldn't. I'm not going to answer any questions if I ain't got it.
Well, see, if you don't answer it, they'll put you in jail for contempt. Yeah, so I answer everything. I
don't understand the question. I object to the whole process. That's my. That's all I'm going to do is object to the whole process.
Right. See, I don't understand the question. Then when they tell me again, say, see, I have a glossary page that I take with me, and I pass them out when I get there. They look at them and say, we're not using it. No problem. Then when they ask me a question, I can truly say, since you're not using that, what does is mean? What does has mean? What does cigar mean? See? I can ask everything. Wait, you're not using my definitions page, my glossary page. If you're not using it, what are you using? See?
Yeah.
And so far, it's new to me.
Yeah, you're using a similar approach, I guess, for the people think that when they call your name, they're talking to you, but they're talking about the styled name in all caps.
But see, wait a second, stop right there. That doesn't matter. It's not about you. This is not about you. It's about the law. I want you to think about this. The all caps name gets on top of your house and slips and falls. Tell me what happens.
Well,
nothing.
I don't know how the all caps name could get on the roof and slip and fall because it can't walk.
Doesn't matter if he can walk. You put him up there and he slips and falls. Because if you drop a marble, it falls down. The all caps name falls down. Anything you put on there, if it falls down. See, that's not about. That's the law of gravity. So why don't we stop using upper and lower? Now, I want to ask you a question. I'm going to help you go to the IRS, and they're going to write you a check for $100 million. It's going to come to you in all caps. What are you going to do with the check?
Cash that baby.
No, you're not. Yeah. No, you're not. I won't let you. I'm going to shred it right in front of you. It's not yours.
Yeah.
It's the fiction. It's the dead person. See?
Yeah.
You only want it, you want it to be you when you want it to be you. See, I want it to be me all the time. It doesn't matter what they're addressing. Because if they're addressing me in all caps, I don't care. What does the law say? The law says income is not defined. Duh. So it doesn't matter. See? The word cigar, what is it? I don't know until they define it. Whether I'm a caps name, upper and lower, the breathing, living soul. See, all of that stuff that you've been taught doesn't mean shit. And the reason it doesn't, because you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. I won't do that. The law has protected me, and the law will protect me. Because if they screw up and say to me, well, you're all caps name, I object, Your Honor, I'm going to appeal it. Why? Because the law says X, Y, and Z, and they're saying Z, Y, X. Don't matter to me. See? Whatever the law says, that's how I get them. See? Now, in Vietnam, when the little kids would run out in the street and pull on your shirt and say, you want to sleep with my mama? She's a virgin. You want to sleep with my mama? She's a virgin. I thought to myself, boy, oh boy, I'm going to go in there and see this. That's not even possible. Why? Because it's not possible. See? Same thing with this. The all caps name doesn't matter. What does the law say? Whatever's on the roof of your house, if you drop it, it goes down. Why? Don't care. Whether it's a feather or a fat person, it doesn't matter. Whether that person's dead or not. If it's a corporation and you drop it, it goes down. If it's a contract, it's down. Why? That's the law. So I've learned to use the law against them or let the law protect me. When I was indicted, that's how I did it. They indicted me, and they beat up me big time. But I just stood there and acted a fool. I don't understand the question because I gave them a glossary page. They weren't using it, so now I'm in the dark. See?
So you give them a glossary page of the definition of terms?
Well, that's all I care about. Yeah, but it don't have to be very many terms. Let me ask you a question. Tell me what money is.
Well, we have a dog named Money.
I need to see the definition. What do you define it as?
It doesn't matter. See, I've already defined it. Modern Money Mechanics, page 3. Checkable liabilities of a bank is money. That's what it is. Oh, that's not my.
Okay, so now to make sure I got this clear, you're giving them the glossary with your definitions on it. So if they don't look at it, no, sir. I'm giving them a glossary of words that are defined by the Supreme Court, the Constitution, Black's Law. That they're the legal definitions of the words that I need. Okay, so what is income? See? I have the legal definition of income, and it isn't what you said it was. It's defined in black and white. See? So, if I have to file the 1040, what is a 1040? It's a form. It's a model or a skeleton to be used in a court of law. It's there to put you in jail. So I'm not going to take any chances. See? In fact, if you look at the 1040 form, I think page number 8 says total income. Go in the booklet. Find where it says line 8. It's not there. Why is it not there? Because they won't define it. They want you to. I can't define it. Okay, let me tell you how many incomes I came up with. Taxable, untaxable, gross, net, and total. There's 5 right there. And I'm sure there's others. So when I pay taxes, it says on there, put down your total income. What is total income? Which one of those?
Check out our other videos and playlists. Republic of Texas RT documentary. Texas and other American states is under a military occupation. The Republic of Texas Forum of 2016. And describe the kind of people who would thrive in independent Texas.
Well, it's this plus that minus that. I don't have a clue.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of other. There's a lot of like residents. There's 67 definitions of residents.
So then why would you use that? I would put it on my glossary page, and I would put the one that's to my advantage. A resident is, well, it's a man with a bald head. Well, I ain't bald, so it ain't me. See? So you aren't talking to me. See? I'm going to put down what the legal definition is, and if there's 67 of them, I'm going to pick 2 or 3 that is my advantage. It's going on that glossary page. When I hand it to them, if they take it, that's the word. If they say they're not taking it, when they ask me, are you a resident? I don't know. Which one are you talking about? Because I have 2 defined. Said you're not using it, so you can't use those. Which one are you talking about? As soon as they tell me, I can say, nope, I'm one of those two. You're not using it, so duh. See?
Wow.
But we're approaching this, what me and Ed are approaching this completely different. Does that make sense? See?
Well,
it's not about
that's
me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, it's all right.
Hello,
it's not
Eric.
about me. Yeah.
It's about that time. That one more question.
Yes, if anybody has a quick question, ask it. So, because we're gonna adios here.
Mike in Michigan. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, so I received a letter from the IRS that basically said they contacted the State Department and that over $50,000 was owed, so they will not issue a passport. I have a certified copy of the motion from the commissioner and a certified copy of the court order from the tax court saying there's no jurisdiction. So I'm just kind of wondering what course of action.
We have a lady that had that same thing. Her daughter is an artist, and she's getting a big award this weekend in England. She went down to the airport, and they stopped her. We put together a letter and sent it to them. She left today.
Okay.
See? Because, first of all, you made a couple of comments. I would answer this way. $50,000. Now, what is the definition of a dollar, first of all? And I'm going to show you how bizarre I am. All right. A dollar to gold and silver is a measurement. So a dollar to gold and silver is the same thing as a gallon is to a liquid. You owe 50,000 gallons. What's the next question out of your mouth?
Dollar what?
There it is. See? That's what I would. I would put a glossary page. I would write it to them, and I'd send it to them. And I would ask them with that, wait a minute, you're saying something, and here's the key to that. If the person that wrote it is not an attorney, they're practicing law, the ink would not dry before I would have that person in the courthouse telling them that you made a legal determination. In my opinion, I want to see your bar card. If you don't have a bar card, I ain't arguing taxes. I ain't arguing dollars. I'm arguing the fact that he's practicing law without a license, so I'm going to practice law without a license. The judge goes to prison. What is the guy that's in the courtroom? The guy that watches over the court. He's going to prison. The bailiff's going to prison. I'm putting the mayor in prison. I'm putting the governor in prison because I'm making legal determinations. See, they can't make them. So what I'm doing is I'm attacking the weakest link on the chain. The weakest link on the chain, in my opinion, in your case is someone said you owe $50,000. I wouldn't even worry about the $50,000. I would ask them for their bar card. I want to see your bar card because you made a legal determination for me. I'm giving you 5 days. If you do not show me your bar card and you do not release that, you are practicing law without a license, I'll be moving into your house because you just lost it. That's just how I am. I'm an asshole that way, and I don't mean to be that way, but I can't help myself. But we have tore the heads off of a lot of these agents because they keep saying it doesn't say what you think it says. I don't care what I think it says. They're going to court, and they're going to court for practicing law without a license. To me, it's simple as that. See, it doesn't matter whether it's in all caps or not, because if what you're saying is true, then you don't know what the all caps guy does. See, that doesn't work. That's why I don't use that argument. My argument is they're practicing law without a license unless they show me their bar card. Now, but I've heard people say, well, the bar isn't a license. I don't care. It's to my advantage. They ask me all the time. I was asked one time, do you have a bar? Do you have a license to practice law? I said, Lord have mercy. I have the same license that the attorney has. And I didn't say another word. Judge said, okay, enough of that. He wouldn't even challenge me on it because then he has to say the bar card that the attorney has is a license. I went down to his office and took a picture. Of his diploma hanging on the wall, and it says, with this diploma, you are eligible to be licensed. So I took a picture of that. I was waiting on it. do you have a license to practice law? I said, man, I'm glad you asked. I had the same license signed by the same guy the same day the attorney got his. No problem. That's what I got.
Okay.
See? I mean, so if he was said, see, now if he treats me different as a pro se, I'm going to appeal. What am I going to appeal? He's treating me as a pro se in a higher standard than he is the attorney. He asked me if I had a license. I said I had the same license the attorney does. In order for it to be true, we both have to lay him on the counter side by side. His says bar. Then I'm going to ask the judge, is a bar a license? As soon as he says yes, I'm going to appeal because it ain't. See? I don't argue what I am or I'm not. I'm going to argue the law. What does the law say? That's what I would do if I was you. I'm not giving you legal advice because I'm not an attorney.
Okay. Exactly.
Okay, Kerry.
Yep.
Kerry, how would you get a lien released without a court order?
How would I do it?
Yes.
It's not as easy. I would just challenge it. And I would go to the county and tell the county that you want to see the IRS. See, they'll show you the lien. It's not a lien; it's a notice of lien.
Right,
they'll
a notice
show
of
that
lien.
to you.
Yes,
that's correct. That's a counterfeit security. We sued the IRS and we won big time because they're using counterfeit securities. But I would go to the county and ask the county to see the IRS's paperwork that brought this down there. They won't show it to you. Then I would sue the county in state court. Because what they're doing is they're using counterfeit securities because that security is a notice. It's not a lien. It's a notice of lien. So I would go get the lien and then, the notice of lien, and then I would ask them to let me see the IRS's paper that liened it. They won't show it to you. Then I would sue the county in state court that they're using a counterfeit security. And if you get a hold of Ed, he'll give you my number, and I'll give you the case number that we did that said the IRS cannot use notices to file liens because it's a counterfeit security, and that's how I attack it. See, I do stuff different than everybody else, but we're kicking their ass pretty hard. I mean, we're spanking them pretty hard.
So ask for the IRS. Ask them to show you the IRS paperwork.
Yeah, because
they won't.
Well, they can't because they don't have it. Chances are the IRS picked up the phone or faxed that. 668, Y. They faxed the 668Y to them. So that's the only paperwork they got. And it says right on it, notice of lien. A notice of lien is a counterfeit security. I know because the judge ruled in our favor that is a counterfeit security.
Wonderful.
And counterfeit securities cannot be used. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
See, what's that?
Most of them aren't even signed.
See?
Yeah, this one is signed. The notice is signed. It's somebody for someone else, but I didn't even think to ask them for that paperwork.
Right. See, but not only that, ask them when you go down there. Ask them to see the back side. The back side is what's really gonna blow your brains out. The back side of it. Wait till you see what it is. That's the paperwork. See. They don't have paperwork. So that's what we're doing. We're attacking these pricks every chance, everywhere we can. It ain't about, I keep saying it's not about me. Because when I go down there and I tell the guy, I beat my chest and say, look at the hair on my chest. I'm A. It doesn't matter.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it. I go down there and say, the law says this. You got that. If you can't combine the two and you don't release it, me and you, I'll see you in court. You're practicing law without a license because you've got a dead instrument. It's that simple. See,
you said the back is the paperwork?
That's all they check a box on the back, turn it over, write notice of lien, and they sign it and send it to them. So it's a notice of lien. That proves it's a counterfeit security. Now think about this, and then I'm going to go. Who makes the lien? If you have $1 million lien, who makes the lien valuable?
I do.
That's correct. Who makes a notice of lien valuable?
No one.
Okay, so what is the value of a notice of lien? That's a counterfeit security. So what is the value of a counterfeit security?
Nothing. It's counterfeit.
25 to life. Ask Bernie Madoff.
Oh, I got it.
That's what. Okay. See, No, we're not. See, that's what I'm telling. Well, Bernie Madoff, you want his? He's got room in his cell for you, no problem. So we're attacking them in places they can't cover that because that's the law. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not how big of your shoes you wear, how big your ears are. It has nothing to do with that. The law says without X, Y, and Z, they cannot do it. But they're doing it because they're doing it through a notice of. See? Then they're monetizing it. And we're taking that monetization and we're taking it to the court and they're balancing their books. So they're giving us the money back. So if you have a lien, we can get you paid for it. Anyways, anybody else got a question?
Awesome. Thank you.
So get a hold of Ed, and he'll get you my number, or he can help you with it. Either one. No problem.
Thank you, Kerry.
Okay,
no problem.
Oh, you're Ed, huh? I'm Ed.
We got Ed and Terry.
I'm Kerry.
Kerry's been doing the talking. I'm doing the operating the computer. Okay. Our next call will be April 23rd. Everybody,
yeah, I'm definitely going to get that on my book.
Ed, you did record it, right?
Yeah, it was recorded. I heard it.